Let's start with the 1, not because it's the first number, but because it's who I am. And if you'll allow me then to mock Richard and make fun of myself, then you'll hopefully allow me to do it with you and you won't take offense. The need, the underlying need, and I had this in the first book and I don't think I'll change it up, is a compulsive need to feel that I am right. It is so constant. Now remember, you all have it. We just made an art form out of it. We somehow got the message that if we were right, we would be on top of the situation. We would be in control. We would make this uncontrollable world just a little bit controllable. So we are driven toward moralisms, toward righteousness, toward arrogance, toward absoluteness. I am right is what we're always saying. And we work so hard to be right. We tried as little boys, as I did, to please my very demanding mother. And I'm not blaming her for it. I was her favorite. But still, she was a very demanding 8. And I knew the only way I'd keep her love was being a good little right boy and never making any mistakes. Well, it worked. That's why I became her favorite. I'm sure the others caused trouble, but I didn't. I'm not saying in each case that's going to apply, that you got it from your parents, but I'm saying it was a piece of it, I think, for me. Not just I am right, but I am good. It takes such a moral tone. That's why it's crucially important that somewhere in the middle of life's journey, a 1 see that they're not good. We almost have to sin. We just have, and sin boldly. It's no surprise that came from Martin Luther, because Martin Luther was a 1, a classic one, a reformer. We're always trying to reform everything, starting with ourselves. We're picking on ourselves constantly. Our animal symbol is the barking dog. We're just barking at ourselves. Richard, you should work harder. Richard, you should do it better. Now it has some gift form to it. We almost always are good teachers because we're searching for the right word to communicate the right idea, which we, of course, have. You see? Oh, it's such circular logic we all operate inside of it. We're perfectionists. But really, and I want to tell you this in all truth, it's only by our own stupid definition of perfection. I mean, it's so egocentric. I'm very sloppy about some things, but I'll have 2 or 3 areas where I want it the way I want it. I don't know where it comes from, but it gives me untold happiness when it's that way. I don't know why. It's just, when my wastebaskets are emptied, I was emptying them at the resource center yesterday. It's a better world, It is so silly. And I know it's silly, And yet I can go to bed easier that night. I'm only real when I'm making effort. Yeah. When I'm giving it we're hard workers. We are workaholics, really. 1s and 3s are both workaholics. We've got a heroic self-image, a muscular self-image. I'm not muscular physically, but we'll try to find other ways to be muscular. I'm a muscular teacher, so you've got to be some way to be strong and heroic and significant. We don't trust any voices that feel soft and sloppy, and they've got to be self-sacrificial voices. We become little cadets, little seminarians like I did. The self-image is, I am a good boy. I am a good girl. Look at me, how good I am. And that's you see why I said at the beginning of the day, you're destroyed by your gift? Imagine if you really keep trying to maintain that into your 40s, 50s, and 60s. How unreal you're going to become, how rigid you're going to become, how anal retentive you're going to become. The 1 left to himself or herself is anal retentive. They're the old school marm who's just looking around for things to clean up and correct, things to make better and make right. We're always polishing up the world. John the Baptist was probably a 1. And you know, I want to say this at the beginning. You tend, although we've made John the Baptist the patron of our center, the prophet in the desert, but you tend not, I mean, I can see right through John the Baptist. You'll see that in my new book, Soul Brothers, where my chapter on John the Baptist is just, oh, come on, John, get off it, you know? You will not tend to like your own number in general because you see it. You see it for what it's worth. You know the game she's playing. You know the game he's playing because you've been playing it all your life. Threes don't like another three on the staff normally because they start competing with one another for the same successes. Do you see? And they know she's being half deceitful right now because that's the way I used to deceive and get away with it. And now she's not getting, I'm going to make sure she doesn't get away with it. Do you see? So we're high-minded. We tend to have bright, animated faces. I hope I do. I don't know if I do. Ordered and tidy spaces. You know, Abe Lincoln was the one. Ralph Nader. Here he is going off again, you know. Save the world. Doesn't matter that it destroyed it last time in some people's judgment, you know. You just see one all over Ralph Nader's face, you know. They're often angular faces, like Abe Lincoln, too. But you see a high moral achievement in someone like Abe Lincoln. And on some levels in Ralph Nader, I guess, too, at least for the environment. But we can be very linear if we have our righteous explanation. So a lot of ones are attracted to fundamentalism. We're often correcting ourselves inside. I have no doubt what I'll be doing tonight. What will be going through my mind tonight is how I didn't say it right today. I gave you the wrong impression on that. Yeah, I'll just be ripping it apart. And I don't know how not to do that after the fact. We're just critics. Self-criticism and other criticism. And we're as hard on you as we first are on ourselves. So how do we unmask it? We got to stop doing it to ourselves. Now, I'm getting much better at that as I get older. You should listen to my early tapes. I don't know why anybody bought them, you know. I'm just terribly barking at the world, you know, which is what we're good at, barking dogs. My friend calls me hornets. He says, you just go after things. We're very focused. And anything that keeps us from our focus, we tend to resent. So it's very hard to stop us when we're on a flow. Therefore, what we got to stop doing is being on a flow so we can be interrupted and we can be stopped. It's very hard for ones to multitask like women and mothers do so well. Very hard. Just, if my mind's going this direction, don't pull me over there, or you'll see a bit of flash in my eyes. I mean, I've learned how to stop really saying something unkind to you, but it's immediate instinct inside of me. Why are you interrupting me? Don't you know I'm going on this flow? You see? So if you know that about a one, it'll help you. We're just terrible, really. We're impatient. We're worn out by the end of the day. By 9, I just start fading. Normally, because remember, the whole day has been full body perceptions of reality, nonstop. And it's too much. I don't know how to react to it. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to change it. I don't know how to make it right. And so once in a while, we'll lash out with a strong overstatement, which I do on tape too. We tend to be into meritocracy. About I deserve, you deserve. If you listen to my tapes, I'm always preaching against that. Why? Because that's the way I am. All of my sermons are to myself, you know. It's so I'm begging like St. Paul was, who was another one, maybe an 8, I'm not sure. But begging for unconditional love, begging for justification by faith. Because that's the one thing on the gut level we cannot believe, that you get anything for nothing, right? I only get it, I only deserve it if I work hard, if I work damn hard. You know? And then we deeply resent people who want a free lunch. God, I sound like a Republican, you know? It's like, what makes you think you deserve that? My gut wants to say, you know, you didn't pay your dues yet. You didn't work yet. You didn't try harder. We try harder, and you should try harder. If the truth is told, we don't respect people who don't try hard. We don't. We have to work at it. Right? People who don't give 100%, we don't respect. Because we think we give 100%. In fact, we only give 100% in one or two areas where we've decided to be heroic. And that's where I got to be honest. And those are the humiliations that you learn as life goes on. Shoulds and oughts control our whole life. Grace, when we fall into grace, it's no surprise grace is the title of 3 of my books, because our entire life is a search for grace. And when we get it, we really get it. I think some of my stuff, I've explained grace very well, because when it overwhelms me, I could just weep. I could just, the world is finally reconfigured into a beautiful world, and I can finally be happy. You see, I'm not happy. The one space I'm not happy in. And yet I maintain it for some reason. Do you understand? This meritocracy, tit for tat, quid pro quo, you only deserve something if you work hard, is not a happy world. You never live up to your own expectations, and no one else is ever allowed to live up to your expectations. We're forever fighting the cosmic war against crud, you know? Ralph Nader, there he is. I think it's what led me to involvement with peace and justice people. Because here were the people who seemed to be having my values of trying. We have a great love for justice and peace and truth in the world, because that's right, that's good, that's the way it should be. But just more often than not, when I got close to him, I was not impressed. You know, again, the energy was not right. The traits were correct. See it? It was the Enneagram that taught me this. The traits were correct. They're out there on the picket line. But you go home and do a planning meeting with them, and they're as violent as anybody else. They have to have their way. They have to hear it their way. And I saw all of that in myself. A lot of peace and justice people are ones who want the world the way they want the world. So it gave me at the same time an immense sympathy for them and an immense impatience with them. You see? And by reason of my Franciscan vocation and having a chance for an interior life and Jesus showing himself to me as a young man already, I don't mean visually, but really, I think I experienced the serenity already as a boy. I'm sure it's the reason I became a priest, that there were moments that were so wonderful, so serene, so beautiful, so whole, so everything, with no need to eliminate anything. That's why I wrote the book, Everything Belongs. I'm sure that already as a 4-year-old boy, I experienced that. Just ecstasy. I can still feel myself. I must have been 3 or 4 looking at the Christmas tree in Kansas. And I thought I was going to float through the ceiling. It was just, I don't know why it was the Christmas tree, but it was a beautiful world, and God was in it, and I was in it, and it all made sense. And that's what, you see, it's the positive soul experience that you're trying to recreate. My soul experience is, there is such a thing as a perfect world. I know because I tasted it for 30 seconds when I was 3 years old. You understand? So I can't forget it. I know there could be a world where everybody loves everybody. And I was in the middle of a very loving home, both mom and dad, and even my older sister when she wasn't picking on me. It was a safe world. So I'm going to be emphasizing that that the wound doesn't come first. And here I think Matthew Fox was absolutely brilliant in re-emphasizing original blessing as preceding original sin. In the book here, I call it toward the beginning the soul child. And my soul child would be the 7. As a little boy, I was just always happy. Mother said, you were so excited all the time, you would just squeal with delight. You were always squealing with, ah! And she says, and you'd dance and you'd sing. And one time she says, I told you, go out on the back porch and scream if you want to scream. But she says it wasn't an angry scream, it was always a happy scream. You know? Of course, those shock waves of reality were coming toward me, and they were, for the most part, wonderful. It's just a wonderful world. And I'm a part of it. I was a happy little 7 boy. And then the wound came, I don't know when. Was it after the Christmas tree? But somewhere, damn it, it isn't a perfect world. And so what I move into is I'm going to find a way to make it perfect. Right? I'm going to make it the way I want it. And that becomes the one. That's my fallenness. And now I cannot not be a one. It's my strategy. It's my life script. It's my way of surviving. It's been my way of getting energy and perceiving the world for so long, I cannot change it entirely. All I can do is move it toward redemption, transformation, the true self. And what will happen is ever so often, I'll taste that happy little boy again. And, it's enough to live for. You know, it's enough to know that perfection is possible, and that it's possible enough that I can let go of the imperfection. And I don't need to change everybody like I used to and fix everybody and fix the church. I know it still sounds like I'm trying to, but I really don't need to the way I needed to as a young man. It just is a different space inside. So that's just a very quick example. Another thing that you tend to let go of, this is true of the one and the two, and I have a lot of two wing in me too, is in this quid pro quo thinking of the one, we tend to be making lists and keeping accounts of how much we've given. The two does this in an emotional way. We do it in a heady way of how much I've given and how much you owe me, right? That's why it's been a grace to be a Franciscan on many levels, but to not to have to work for a salary or money, because that isn't even an issue. It's never, the money thing is eliminated. But because most of you don't have that luxury to, we're almost trained in keeping lists. Do you understand? I wonder if that wasn't the real meaning of the vow of poverty. Didn't have to worry about earning money or making a list. I think we've abused it a lot too. But the underlying thing of breaking down meritocracy, breaking down worthiness systems, breaking down I deserve, you owe. And I offer that, brothers and sisters, to all of you, because it's not just the one and the two. We all do it. Again, we've just made an art form out of it. The country is the one that I used in the first book, I think I would still use, is Switzerland. If you've ever been to Switzerland, you won't see any trash on the streets. Right? In fact, I don't think there's any trash in the whole country. I never. It doesn't exist. They build these real pretty little boxes that you put all the trash in, and then it's all covered up. You never see it. The concern about time. Who is it that makes watches? Swiss. Yeah, art form. You got to be on time. Überpünktlich, they call it, over punctual. To come in late like a few of you did, I should have pointed you out, is just unacceptable in Switzerland. Unacceptable, all right? If it says 10 o'clock, you're there at 10 o'clock. The Mexicans could not survive. I don't think, could not survive in Switzerland. And banks. I mean, is it any surprise that all these, keeping accounts and keeping them very accurately? You're going to see how countries take these compulsions to an art form. And it's great to begin with Switzerland because they have taken one-ishness to an art form. The story I remember telling on the first tapes 20 years ago, but I'll tell it again. The first time I taught in Zurich, in fact, I think I was teaching the Enneagram, this is years ago, but it was a Sunday morning and we had a break and the streets were deserted and I walked across the middle of the street. We'd call it jaywalking, But it's really no problem on Sunday, Now, on the ends of each block in Switzerland, there's very clear markers where you are to walk. You want to talk about anal retentiveness, all right? A man shouted at me from his window, 999. And he pointed over, You walk in the appropriate place. This is unbelievable. The church is filled with these people. Or at least it was. The old Catholic Church very much appealed to that kind of energy. I mean, these were our novice masters and teachers in religious life. They were all ones who thought there was something meritorious and salvific about walking inside the lines. That this pleased God. And we took culture and made it into salvation, which is horrible, you know. But almost every culture has done it. So the country Switzerland, barking dog, ant, a little ant, work, work, work. You never see an ant sit still, do you? No? They just keep moving. We're ants, and we're hornets. We go right toward the task, but we're mostly barking dogs. Okay.